The sound of silver coins clinking against each other was the last thing Anna heard before her brother walked away without looking back, leaving her standing in the dusty street of Dodge City, Kansas, with her wrists bound and her heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. It was the summer of 1878, and the merciless sun beat down on the crowded street as men on horseback passed by, their eyes lingering on her with varying degrees of pity and calculation. Anna kept her chin up, despite the humiliation burning through her veins, despite the fact that her own flesh and blood had just traded her life for 30 pieces of silver to a man named Silas Crow, a ruthless saloon owner known for his collection of pretty girls who worked under circumstances that were anything but voluntary. She was 20 years old, and until 3 hours ago, she had believed that family meant something, that the brother who had raised her after their parents died would protect her no matter what. She had been wrong. Silas Crow stood beside her now, his meaty hand gripping her upper arm hard enough to bruise, his breath reeking of whiskey and tobacco. He was a large man with a belly that strained against his vest and cold eyes that looked at her like she was nothing more than property he had just acquired. Anna felt bile rise in her throat as he leaned closer, his voice a low rumble that made her skin crawl. "You are going to make me a lot of money, girl," he said, his fingers digging into her arm. "Pretty thing like you, all that dark hair and those green eyes. The men will pay good money for your company." Anna jerked away from him, or tried to, but his grip was iron. "I will never work for you," she said, her voice shaking but determined. "You can beat me, you can starve me, but I will not do what you want." Crow laughed, a sound like gravel scraping against metal. "They all say that at first. You will learn soon enough." He started to drag her toward the saloon at the end of the street, a 2-story building with peeling red paint and a sign that read, "The Silver Spur," swinging in the hot breeze. Anna dug her heels into the dirt, trying to slow him down, her mind racing frantically for some way out of this nightmare. Where could she go? Who would help her? Her brother Thomas had been her only family, and he had sold her like cattle to pay off his gambling debts. The betrayal cut deeper than any physical wound could. "Let her go." The voice came from behind them, calm and steady, with an authority that made even Crow pause. Anna twisted around to see a man standing in the middle of the street, his hand resting casually on the gun at his hip. He was tall and lean, with broad shoulders and sun-darkened skin that spoke of long days spent outdoors. His hat was pulled low over his eyes, but she could see the strong line of his jaw and the way he stood with the easy confidence of someone who knew exactly what he was capable of. Crow's grip on her arm tightened. "This is none of your concern, Hayes. The girl belongs to me now, bought and paid for." The man called Hayes took a step closer, and Anna could see more of his face now. He looked to be in his late 20s, with dark hair that curled slightly at his collar, and eyes that were a startling blue even in the harsh sunlight. There was something in those eyes that made her breath catch, a mixture of determination and something softer, something that looked almost like compassion. "How much did you pay for her?" Hayes asked, his voice still calm, but with an edge now that suggested he was not a man to be trifled with. Crow laughed again. "More than you can afford, cowboy. Now move along before you get hurt." Hayes reached into his pocket and pulled out a small leather pouch. He tossed it to the ground at Crow's feet, and it landed with a heavy thud and the unmistakable sound of coins. "There is double what you paid. Take it and let her go." For a moment, everything seemed to freeze. Anna stared at the stranger, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst from her chest. Why was he doing this? He did not know her. He had no reason to help her. But the look in his eyes when they met hers was steady and sure, and she felt something shift inside her, some small flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, this nightmare might end differently than she had feared. Crow bent down and picked up the pouch, weighing it in his hand. His eyes narrowed as he looked from the money to Hayes and back again. "You are making a mistake," he said. "This girl is worth more than a few silver coins." "Then you just made a good profit," Hayes said. "Take the money and walk away." The tension in the air was thick enough to cut with a knife. Anna could see the calculation in Crow's eyes, the way he was weighing his options. He was not a man who liked to lose, but he was also not a fool. Hayes wore his gun like he knew how to use it, and there was something in his stance that suggested he would not hesitate if it came to violence. Finally, Crow released Anna's arm with a shove that sent her stumbling forward. "Fine," he spat. She is yours, but do not come crying to me when she turns out to be more trouble than she is worth." He pocketed the pouch and turned on his heel, stalking back toward the saloon, with his shoulders hunched in anger. Anna stood frozen in the street, her arms still bound, her mind struggling to process what had just happened. The stranger, Hayes, walked toward her slowly, his movements careful and unthreatening. "Are you hurt?" he asked, his voice gentler now. Anna shook her head, not trusting herself to speak. Up close, she could see that his eyes were even bluer than she had thought, the color of the sky on a clear day. There were lines at the corners from squinting into the sun, and a small scar on his left cheekbone that gave his face character. He was handsome in a rugged way that had nothing to do with polish and everything to do with strength and honesty. He pulled a knife from his belt, and Anna flinched instinctively. Hayes paused, holding the knife where she could see it. "I am just going to cut those ropes," he said quietly. "I am not going to hurt you." She nodded, holding out her wrists. The rope had chafed her skin raw, and it stung when he carefully sliced through the bindings. When her hands were free, she rubbed at the red marks, trying to get the feeling back into her fingers. "Thank you," she managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. "I do not understand why you did that, but thank you." Hayes tucked the knife back into his belt and tipped his hat back slightly so she could see his face better. "No one deserves to be sold like property," he said simply. "What is your name?" Anna Whitmore." "Well, Anna Whitmore, my name is Cole Hayes, and I think we should get you off the street before Crow changes his mind or decides to send some of his men after us." Anna glanced back toward the saloon, half expecting to see Crow and his thugs pouring out into the street, but the doors remained closed. Still, Cole was right. They needed to move. She nodded, and he gestured for her to follow him. They walked through the crowded streets of Dodge City, past the general store and the blacksmith and the small white church that sat on the corner. Anna kept her head down, painfully aware of the curious stares they were attracting. Cole led her to a small boarding house on the quieter end of town, the kind of place that looked clean and respectable without being fancy. "Wait here," he said, and disappeared inside for a few minutes. When he came back out, he had a key in his hand. "I got you a room for the next week. It is paid for, and the landlady, Mrs. Henderson, is a good woman. She will not ask questions." Anna stared at him, overwhelmed. "Why are you doing this? You do not even know me." Cole was quiet for a moment, his expression thoughtful. "Let us just say, I have seen what happens to women in your situation, and I would not wish it on anyone. You need a safe place to stay while you figure out what to do next." "I do not have any money," Anna said, shame coloring her cheeks. "I cannot pay you back." "I am not asking you to," Cole replied. "Come on, let me show you the room." He led her inside and up a narrow staircase to a small room on the second floor. It was simple but clean, with a bed covered in a faded quilt, a washstand with a cracked mirror, and a window that looked out over the street. To Anna, who had spent the last few hours thinking she would never see freedom again, it looked like paradise. Cole set the key on the washstand. "Mrs. Henderson serves breakfast and dinner downstairs. If you need anything else, just ask her. She knows I'm a friend." Anna sank down onto the edge of the bed, her legs suddenly too weak to hold her. The full weight of everything that had happened today crashed over her like a wave, and she felt tears burning at the back of her eyes. She blinked them away furiously, not wanting to break down in front of this stranger who had already done so much for her. "My brother sold me," she said, the words coming out in a rush. "Thomas. He was all the family I had left, and he sold me to that horrible man for a bag of silver coins to pay off his gambling debts. I knew he had been losing money at the card tables, but I never thought he would do something like this. I never thought he could." Cole pulled the room's single chair over and sat down across from her, his elbows resting on his knees. "I am sorry," he said, and the sincerity in his voice made something inside Anna's chest crack open. "That is a hell of a betrayal." "I do not know what to do now," Anna admitted, her voice breaking. "I have no money, no family, nowhere to go. Even if I wanted to leave Dodge City, I would not know where to go or how to survive." "You do not have to figure it all out today," Cole said gently. "Right now, you just need to rest and let yourself recover from the shock. Tomorrow, things might look clearer." Anna looked at him, really looked at him, trying to understand what kind of man would do what he had just done. "Why did you help me?" she asked again. "Please, I need to understand." Cole was quiet for a long moment, his blue eyes distant. Finally, he spoke. My sister was in a situation similar to yours once. Different circumstances, but the same kind of helplessness. I was too late to save her. She died before I could get to her. So, when I saw you standing in that street today, I could not walk away. I could not let it happen again, not when I had the power to stop it. Anna felt fresh tears spill down her cheeks, but this time she did not try to stop them. I am so sorry about your sister. Her name was Emily, Cole said softly. She was 19. And thank you. They sat in silence for a few minutes, the weight of shared pain and loss creating an unexpected connection between them. Anna wiped at her eyes with the back of her hand, feeling raw and exposed, but also strangely comforted by Cole's presence. I should let you rest, Cole said, standing up. I am staying at the livery stable if you need anything. It is the big building at the east end of town. Just ask for me. You are staying at a stable? Anna asked, surprised. Cole smiled, and it transformed his face, making him look younger and less careworn. I work there. I am a horsebreaker by trade, traveling through to the Montana Territory. I have been in Dodge City for about a month, earning enough money to continue my journey north. Oh, Anna said, not sure why the knowledge that he would be leaving soon made her chest feel tight. He had already done so much for her. She had no right to expect more. Cole must have seen something in her expression because his smile faded. I am not leaving right away, he said. I will be here for at least another couple of weeks, and even after I go, Mrs. Henderson will look after you. You are not alone, Anna. But she would be, Anna thought, as he left and closed the door softly behind him. She would be alone again, just like she had been after her parents died, just like she had been even when Thomas was still around, but drowning in his own problems. The difference was that now she knew she could not trust family, could not trust anyone who claimed to care about her, except maybe Cole Hayes, a stranger who had bought her freedom and asked for nothing in return. Anna lay back on the bed, staring up at the ceiling with its water stains and cracks. Her body ached with exhaustion, but her mind would not stop racing. Where was Thomas now? Was he drinking away the silver he had gotten for selling his own sister? Did he feel any guilt at all? Or had his soul been so corrupted by gambling and desperation that he no longer cared about right and wrong? She must have fallen asleep eventually, because the next thing she knew, the room was dark and there was a soft knocking at her door. Anna sat up, her heart pounding, fear flooding through her. What if it was Crow? What if he had changed his mind and come to take her back? Anna? It was Mrs. Henderson's voice, warm and kind. I have brought you some dinner, dear. Anna stumbled to the door and opened it to find a plump woman in her 50s holding a tray with a bowl of stew, some bread, and a cup of water. Mrs. Henderson had a round, friendly face and eyes that crinkled at the corners when she smiled. Cole told me you might be hungry, she said, bustling into the room and setting the tray on the washstand. You eat up now? You look like you have not had a decent meal in days. Anna realized with a start that she had not eaten since breakfast, and that felt like a lifetime ago. Her stomach growled loudly, and Mrs. Henderson chuckled. Go on, eat while it is still hot. And if you need anything at all, you just come find me. My room is on the first floor, the one at the back. Thank you, Anna said, moved by the woman's kindness. Thank you so much. Mrs. Henderson patted her shoulder gently. Cole is a good man. If he says you are worth helping, then you are. You rest up, dear. Things will look better in the morning. After she left, Anna ate the stew ravenously, not caring that it was too hot and burned her tongue. The food was simple but delicious, and she felt strength returning to her body with every bite. When she had finished, she washed her face in the basin and changed out of her dusty dress into the nightgown she found folded on a shelf in the corner. Mrs. Henderson must have left it for her. Anna climbed back into bed and pulled the quilt up to her chin. The sheets smelled like lavender and sunshine. And for the first time since Thomas had grabbed her arm that morning and told her he had found a solution to his problems, she felt safe. It was a fragile feeling, something she was almost afraid to trust, but it was there nonetheless. She thought about Cole Hayes, about the sadness in his eyes when he talked about his sister, about the way he had stood up to Crow without hesitation. He was brave and kind, and he had saved her life today. Anna did not know what the future held, but she knew she owed him a debt she could never repay. And more than that, she wanted to know him better, to understand what had shaped him into the kind of man who would risk his own safety for a stranger. The next morning, Anna woke to sunlight streaming through the window and the sound of wagons rumbling past on the street below. For a moment, she forgot where she was, and then memory came rushing back. She sat up, half expecting the door to burst open and for Crow to drag her away, but nothing happened. The room remained quiet and peaceful. She dressed in her only dress, wishing she had something clean to wear, and went downstairs. The dining room was small and cozy, with 4 tables covered in checkered cloths. Mrs. Henderson was bustling around with plates of eggs and bacon, and she beamed when she saw Anna. "There you are, dear. Come sit down. I will get you some breakfast." Anna sat at one of the empty tables and looked around. There were a few other boarders eating, but they paid her no attention, which was a relief. A few minutes later, Mrs. Henderson set a plate in front of her, piled high with food. "Eat up," she said. "You need your strength." Anna was halfway through her breakfast when the door opened and Cole walked in. He looked freshly scrubbed, his hair still damp, and he smiled when he saw her. "Good morning," he said, sitting down across from her. "How did you sleep?" "Better than I expected," Anna admitted. "Thank you for the room and for everything." Mrs. Henderson brought Cole a plate and a cup of coffee, giving him an affectionate pat on the shoulder before hurrying off to tend to her other guests. Cole dug into his food with the appetite of a man who worked hard for a living. "I have been thinking about your situation," he said between bites. "You are going to need a job if you want to stay in Dodge City, something respectable that will pay you enough to support yourself." Anna nodded, though the thought of finding work was daunting. "What kind of work do you think I could do?" "Can you read and write?" "Yes, my mother was a school teacher. She made sure both Thomas and I had a good education." Cole's eyes lit up. "That is good. That gives you options. I know the school teacher here is looking for an assistant. Her name is Miss Caroline Preston, and she is a good woman. She might be willing to give you a chance." Hope flared in Anna's chest. "Do you really think she would hire me? I can take you to meet her today if you want. It cannot hurt to ask." Anna set down her fork, her appetite suddenly gone. "Cole, why are you doing all this? You have already done so much." Cole looked at her steadily, his blue eyes serious. "Because it is the right thing to do, and because I like to finish what I start. I bought your freedom, Anna, but freedom is not worth much if you do not have the means to live. I want to make sure you have a real chance at a life." Anna felt something warm unfurl in her chest, something that was not quite gratitude and not quite affection, but somewhere in between. "You are a very good man, Cole Hayes." He looked uncomfortable, ducking his head. "I am just a man trying to do better than I have in the past. Come on, finish your breakfast. We can go see Miss Preston before the school day starts." They walked through Dodge City together in the clear morning light. The town was already bustling with activity. Cowboys riding in from the cattle drives, women shopping at the general store, children running through the streets with sticks and hoops. Anna stayed close to Cole, grateful for his solid presence beside her. The schoolhouse was a small building on the outskirts of town, painted white with a bell tower on top. Inside, they found Miss Caroline Preston organizing books on shelves. She was a slender woman in her early 30s with brown hair pinned up neatly and intelligent gray eyes behind wire-rimmed spectacles. "Cole," she said with a smile when she saw him. "What brings you here?" "I have someone I would like you to meet," Cole said, gesturing to Anna. "This is Anna Whitmore. She is new in town and looking for work. I thought you might be able to use an assistant." Miss Preston looked at Anna with interest. "Can you read and write, Miss Whitmore?" "Yes, ma'am. My mother taught me. I can do arithmetic as well, and I love children." "Well, that is encouraging. I have been struggling to keep up with all 30 of my students, especially the younger ones who need more individual attention. The town has authorized funds for an assistant, but I have not found anyone suitable yet." She paused, studying Anna more closely. "May I ask what brought you to Dodge City?" Anna hesitated, not sure how much to say, but Cole gave her an encouraging nod. "I came here with my brother," she said carefully, "but we have since parted ways. I am on my own now and need to support myself." Miss Preston seemed to understand that there was more to the story than Anna was saying, but she did not press. "Can you start on Monday? The pay is not much, but it should be enough to cover your room and board with a little left over." Anna felt tears prick at her eyes again, but this time they were tears of relief and gratitude. Yes, I can start on Monday. Thank you so much, Miss Preston." "Call me Caroline," the teacher said with a warm smile. I have a feeling we are going to work well together. They talked for a few more minutes about the school and what Anna's duties would be. And then Cole and Anna walked back out into the sunshine. Anna felt like she was floating, like the terrible weight that had been pressing down on her chest since yesterday had lifted just a little. "I cannot believe it," she said, turning to Cole with a radiant smile. "I have a job. I have a way to support myself." Cole smiled back, and Anna noticed for the first time that he had a dimple in his left cheek. "You did that yourself. I just made the introduction." "You did so much more than that," Anna said seriously. "You gave me my life back, Cole. I do not know how I will ever repay you." "You do not owe me anything," Cole said, but there was something in his eyes, some emotion that Anna could not quite read. "I am just glad I could help." They walked back to the boarding house in companionable silence. When they reached the front steps, Cole tipped his hat to her. "I have to get back to work. The owner of the livery stable is expecting me, but I will come by tomorrow to see how you are settling in." "I would like that," Anna said, and realized with a start that she meant it. The thought of seeing Cole again, of spending more time with him, made her feel something she had not felt in a long time, something that might have been happiness. Over the next few days, Anna threw herself into preparing for her new job. Caroline lent her some books on teaching methods, and Anna spent hours reading and making notes. Mrs. Henderson found her 2 more dresses from donations the church had collected, and Anna altered them to fit her slender frame. She felt like she was building a new life from scratch, piece by piece, and while it was frightening, it was also exhilarating. Cole came by every evening after he finished work at the livery stable. Sometimes they would sit on the front porch of the boarding house and talk while the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Anna learned that Cole was 27 years old, that he had grown up on a small ranch in Texas, and that he had been drifting for the past 3 years since his sister's death. "I could not stay in one place after Emily died," he told her one evening. "Everything reminded me of her, and I felt like I was suffocating. So I took to the road, working wherever I could find jobs. I have been all over Texas, Kansas, New Mexico. The Montana Territory is the last place I have not been." "Why Montana?" Anna asked. Cole looked out at the darkening sky, his expression distant. "I have heard there is good land up there, wide open spaces where a man could build something real. I have been thinking about settling down, starting my own ranch. But I have been too afraid to stop moving, I think. Afraid that if I stand still, the grief will catch up with me." Anna reached out and touched his hand gently. "I think grief catches up with us no matter how fast we run." Cole looked down at her hand on his, and then his fingers curled around hers, warm and strong. "You are probably right. But it is a hard lesson to learn." They sat like that for a while, hands linked, watching the stars come out one by one. Anna felt a connection to Cole that went beyond gratitude, beyond the debt she owed him. There was something between them that was growing stronger every day, something fragile and precious that she was almost afraid to name. On Monday, Anna started her job at the school. The children were energetic and curious, and Anna loved working with them. Caroline was a patient teacher, and she showed Anna how to manage the classroom, how to engage the students, how to help the ones who were struggling. By the end of the first week, Anna felt like she had found her calling. She saw Cole every evening, and their conversations grew deeper and more personal. Cole told her about his childhood, about learning to break horses from his father, about the dreams he had once had before grief and wandering had taken over his life. Anna told him about her parents, about how much she had loved growing up in their little house in Missouri, about the pain of losing them to fever when she was 16. "Thomas was different after they died," she said one evening. They were walking along the edge of town, where the buildings gave way to open prairie. "He became angry and bitter. He started drinking and gambling, and nothing I said could make him stop. I tried so hard to hold our family together, but I could not save him from himself." "That was not your job," Cole said gently. "You were grieving too. You needed someone to take care of you, not the other way around. But I was the younger one. I was supposed to let him lead. He failed you, Anna. What he did was unforgivable. You do not have to make excuses for him." Anna was quiet, absorbing Cole's words. Part of her still wanted to believe that Thomas had some good left in him, that he had been desperate and not thinking clearly. But the bigger part of her knew that Cole was right. What Thomas had done was a betrayal of the deepest kind, and she did not owe him her forgiveness or her understanding. "I keep thinking about what my parents would say if they knew what he did," Anna said softly. They would be so ashamed. They raised us to be better than that. You are better than that, Cole said. You are kind and brave and strong. Your parents would be proud of you, Anna. I am sure of it. Anna looked up at him, her heart swelling with an emotion that was becoming harder and harder to deny. She was falling in love with Cole Hayes. It was not just gratitude or admiration, though those feelings were there too. It was something deeper, something that made her pulse race when he smiled at her, something that made her feel safe and cherished in a way she had never experienced before. But what if he did not feel the same way? What if she was just a responsibility to him, a way to assuage his guilt over not saving his sister? Anna could not bear the thought of confessing her feelings and seeing pity or discomfort in his eyes. So she kept silent, treasuring the time they spent together and trying not to think about the fact that Cole would eventually leave for Montana and she would be alone again. 3 weeks after Anna had started working at the school, she was walking home one evening when she saw a familiar figure standing outside the boarding house. Her heart stopped. It was Thomas. He looked terrible. His clothes were dirty and torn, his face unshaven and haggard. When he saw Anna, he started toward her, but she took an instinctive step back. "Anna, please," he said, his voice hoarse. "I need to talk to you." "Get away from me," Anna said, her voice shaking with a mixture of fear and rage. "You have no right to be here." "I know I do not. I know what I did was wrong, but please, just give me 5 minutes." People were starting to stare, and Anna did not want to cause a scene. She glanced around and saw Cole emerging from the livery stable down the street. Their eyes met, and he immediately started toward them, his expression dark with concern. "You have until Cole gets here," Anna said to Thomas. "Then you leave, and you never come back." Thomas looked over his shoulder and saw Cole approaching. He turned back to Anna, his eyes desperate. "I am sorry. I am so sorry for what I did. I was drunk and desperate, and I was not thinking clearly. I know that is no excuse, but I need you to know that I regret it every day." "Good," Anna said coldly. "You should regret it. You sold your own sister, Thomas. You handed me over to a man who would have used me and destroyed me. If it were not for Cole, I do not know what would have happened to me." I know. Thomas ran a hand through his filthy hair. "I went back to get you the next day. I went to Crow and tried to buy you back, but he said you were already gone. I have been looking for you ever since." "Why?" Anna demanded. "So you could sell me again when you ran out of money?" "No, so I could make it right. So I could take care of you like I should have done from the beginning." Cole reached them then, and he positioned himself slightly in front of Anna, his body tense and ready. "You need to leave," he said to Thomas, his voice hard. "You have done enough damage." Thomas looked at Cole, and then back at Anna. "Is this the man who bought you from Crow?" "He bought my freedom," Anna corrected. "And he has been a better brother to me in 3 weeks than you were in 4 years. The words hit Thomas like a physical blow. He flinched, his shoulders sagging. "You are right. You are absolutely right. I do not deserve your forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I am sorry." He paused, his eyes glistening with tears. "Our parents loved you so much, Anna. They would hate what I did. I hate what I did." "Then take that regret and do something good with your life," Anna said, her voice softer now, but still firm. "Stop gambling, stop drinking, and become the man our parents raised you to be. But do it far away from me. I never want to see you again, Thomas." Thomas nodded slowly. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object wrapped in cloth. "This was Mother's," he said, holding it out to Anna. "I should have given it to you a long time ago. I am giving it to you now." Anna took the bundle and unwrapped it to find her mother's locket, the silver heart-shaped pendant that her mother had worn every day. She had thought it was lost forever, sold or pawned to pay for Thomas's debts. Her eyes filled with tears as she clutched it to her chest. "Thank you," she whispered. Thomas nodded again and then turned and walked away, his shoulders hunched and his head down. Anna watched him go, feeling a complicated tangle of emotions. She was still angry, still hurt, but there was also a sense of closure, of finality. She had said what she needed to say, and now she could truly move forward. Cole put his arm around her shoulders, and Anna leaned into him, drawing strength from his solid presence. "Are you all right?" he asked. "I think so," Anna said. "It was hard seeing him, but I am glad I got to tell him how I felt. I am glad I got this back." She held up the locket. Cole smiled gently. Your mother would be happy that you have it." They went inside the boarding house together, and Mrs. Henderson took one look at Anna's tear-stained face and immediately bustled off to make tea. Anna and Cole sat in the small parlor, and Anna told him everything Thomas had said. "Do you think he meant it?" she asked. "Do you think he really is sorry?" "I think he is sorry now," Cole said carefully. "Whether he will change his ways for good, I do not know. But that is not your responsibility, Anna. You gave him a chance to apologize, and you set your boundaries. Now it is up to him what he does with his life." Anna nodded. She fastened the locket around her neck, feeling the cool weight of it against her skin. It was a piece of her mother, a tangible connection to the love and warmth that had filled her childhood. Wearing it made her feel stronger, like she was carrying her parents' faith in her wherever she went. Over the next few weeks, Anna settled even more deeply into her new life. She loved teaching, and the children adored her. Caroline told her she was a natural, that she had a gift for connecting with the students and making learning fun. Anna saved every penny she could from her small salary, determined to build a nest egg so she would never be helpless again. She and Cole continued to spend their evenings together, and their relationship deepened. They talked about everything, philosophy and politics, hopes and fears, silly things that made them laugh, and serious things that made them think. Anna found herself falling more and more in love with him, but she still had not found the courage to tell him. Then, one evening in late August, Cole came to the boarding house with a serious expression on his face. Anna's heart sank. She knew immediately what he was going to say. "I am leaving for Montana," he said as they sat on the front porch. "The owner of the livery stable has paid me for my work, and I have enough money to make the journey and still have some left over to buy land." Anna forced a smile, even though she felt like her heart was breaking. "That is wonderful, Cole. You have been planning this for so long. I am happy for you." Cole looked at her intently, his blue eyes searching her face. "Come with me." Anna's breath caught. "What?" "Come with me to Montana. I do not want to leave you behind, Anna. These past weeks with you have been the happiest I have been in years. You make me feel alive again, like there is a future worth looking forward to. I am in love with you." Anna felt tears streaming down her cheeks, but they were tears of joy this time. "You love me?" "I love you," Cole said firmly. He took her hands in his grip strong and sure. "I know it has not been very long, and I know you might need more time, but I cannot leave without telling you how I feel. You are brave and beautiful and kind, and I want to build a life with you. I want to marry you, Anna, if you will have me." Anna's mind was reeling. Marriage, Montana, a life with Cole. It was everything she had been dreaming of, but had been too afraid to hope for. But could she really do it? Could she leave Dodge City and the job she loved, the security she had worked so hard to build, and venture into the unknown with a man she had known for less than 2 months? She looked into Cole's eyes and saw everything she needed to know. She saw love and sincerity, and the promise of a future built on trust and partnership. She saw a man who had proven over and over again that he would protect her, cherish her, put her needs above his own, and she knew with absolute certainty that she wanted to spend the rest of her life with him. "Yes," she said, her voice strong and clear. "Yes, I will marry you. I will go to Montana with you. I love you too, Cole. I have loved you for weeks, but I was too afraid to say it." Cole pulled her into his arms and kissed her, a kiss that was gentle and passionate all at once. Anna melted into him, feeling like she had finally come home after a long and difficult journey. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were smiling. "We should get married before we leave," Cole said. "I want to do this right. I want you to be my wife, not just my traveling companion." Anna laughed, feeling giddy with happiness. "When do you want to leave?" "As soon as possible. The weather will start turning in a few weeks, and I want to get to Montana before winter sets in. Can you be ready in a week?" "I will make it work," Anna promised. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Anna told Caroline about her plans, and while the teacher was sad to lose her assistant, she was also genuinely happy for Anna. "You deserve love and happiness," Caroline said, hugging her tightly. "Go and build a wonderful life." Mrs. Henderson was delighted and insisted on making Anna a wedding dress from some fabric she had been saving for a special occasion. It was a simple dress in pale blue cotton, but Anna thought it was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. Mrs. Henderson also organized a small wedding reception at the boarding house, inviting the other boarders and some of the people from town who had become Anna's friends. The wedding took place on a Sunday afternoon in the little white church. The pastor, a kindly old man named Reverend Thompson, performed the ceremony. Anna wore her new blue dress and her mother's locket, and she carried a bouquet of wildflowers that Cole had picked for her that morning. Cole wore his best shirt and pants, and he had gotten a haircut and a shave for the occasion. He looked so handsome that Anna's breath caught when she saw him standing at the altar. There were only a dozen people in attendance, but it was enough. Anna did not need a big fancy wedding. She just needed Cole and the promise they were making to each other. When Reverend Thompson pronounced them husband and wife, Cole kissed her with a tenderness that made Anna's heart overflow with love. The reception at the boarding house was simple but joyful. Mrs. Henderson had made a cake, and there was lemonade and sandwiches and lots of laughter. Anna felt surrounded by warmth and goodwill, and she realized that even though she had lost her birth family, she had found a new family here in Dodge City. These people had supported her and helped her when she needed it most, and she would never forget their kindness. As the sun began to set, Cole and Anna said their goodbyes. They would be leaving at dawn the next morning, beginning the long journey to Montana. Anna hugged Mrs. Henderson tightly, thanking her for everything. "You take care of yourself, dear," Mrs. Henderson said, her eyes misty. "And you make sure that husband of yours treats you right." "He will," Anna said with absolute confidence. She hugged Caroline and thanked her for giving her a chance when no one else would. She said goodbye to the other boarders and to the few friends she had made in town. And then she and Cole walked back to the livery stable, where they would spend their first night as husband and wife in a small room above the stables. It was not fancy, but Anna did not care. She was with Cole, and that was all that mattered. He carried her over the threshold, making her laugh, and then he set her down gently and cupped her face in his hands. "I love you, Anna Hayes," he said, and the sound of her new name made her smile. "I love you too, Cole Hayes," she replied. They made love for the first time that night, and it was everything Anna had hoped it would be. Cole was gentle and patient, taking his time to make sure she felt safe and cherished. Anna had been nervous, not knowing what to expect, but Cole's tenderness put her at ease. When they finally came together, it felt natural and right, like two pieces of a puzzle fitting together perfectly. Afterwards, they lay tangled together in the narrow bed, talking softly and planning their future. Cole told her about the land he wanted to buy, a piece of property near the Yellowstone River, where the grass grew tall and thick, and the mountains rose in the distance like sentinels. Anna told him about the house she wanted to build, with a big kitchen and windows that let in lots of light, and a porch where they could sit in the evenings and watch the sunset. "We will have a good life," Cole promised, stroking her hair. "I will work hard to give you everything you deserve." "I do not need things," Anna said, snuggling closer to him. "I just need you." They left Dodge City at dawn, just as the first rays of sunlight were painting the eastern sky pink and gold. They had a wagon loaded with supplies, and Cole had bought 2 good horses to pull it. Anna sat beside him on the driver's seat, her hand tucked into his, watching as the town grew smaller and smaller behind them. She felt a pang of sadness at leaving, but it was overshadowed by excitement and anticipation. She was beginning a new chapter of her life, one filled with love and possibility. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew she and Cole would face them together. The journey to Montana took 6 weeks. It was hard traveling, with long days on rough roads and nights spent camping under the stars. They passed through Kansas and into Nebraska, then up through the Dakotas. The landscape changed from flat prairie to rolling hills to rugged mountains, each region more beautiful than the last. Anna learned to cook over an open fire and to set up their tent quickly when storms threatened. Cole taught her how to read the stars for navigation and how to spot signs of water and good grazing land. They talked for hours as they traveled, learning even more about each other, sharing stories and dreams. There were difficult moments, too. They ran low on water once and had to ration carefully for 3 days until they found a stream. They encountered a group of rough-looking men on the trail who eyed Anna in a way that made Cole's hand move to his gun, but the men moved on without incident. Anna twisted her ankle badly one day and had to ride in the back of the wagon for almost a week while it healed. But through it all, they grew closer. Anna marveled at how well they worked together, how they anticipated each other's needs and supported each other without hesitation. Cole was patient when she struggled with a new task, and Anna was gentle when he woke from nightmares about his sister. They were building a partnership, a true marriage based on mutual respect and love. They reached Montana territory in mid-October, just as the leaves were turning gold and the air was taking on a crisp chill. The land was everything Cole had described and more. Vast prairies stretched out beneath endless blue skies, and mountains rose in the distance, their peaks already dusted with snow. Anna felt her heart expand at the sight of it all. This would be their home. Cole had been corresponding with a land agent in the town of Miles City, and they went there first to complete the purchase of their property. The agent, a man named Mr. Fletcher, showed them several plots, but as soon as Anna saw the piece of land near the Yellowstone River, she knew it was the one. There were 200 acres of good grazing land, with a clear stream running through it and a stand of cottonwood trees that would provide shade and timber. The mountains formed a dramatic backdrop, and the grass was thick and healthy. It was perfect. "This is it," Anna said, looking at Cole with shining eyes. "This is where we will build our life." Cole smiled and signed the papers right there. They were landowners now, with a real stake in the future. It was a heady feeling, full of promise and potential. They spent the next few weeks building a cabin. Cole was skilled with his hands, and Anna learned quickly. They worked from sunup to sundown, felling trees, notching logs, fitting them together. Some of their neighbors, other ranchers and homesteaders, came by to help. Anna was touched by their generosity, the way they welcomed the newcomers and pitched in without being asked. By the time the first snow fell in early November, they had a snug cabin with a good roof, a fireplace, and glass windows that Cole had bought in Miles City. It was small, just one room with a loft for sleeping, but it was theirs. Anna hung curtains she had sewn from fabric Mrs. Henderson had given her as a wedding present, and she arranged their few belongings to make the space feel like home. On their first night in the finished cabin, Cole built a fire in the fireplace, and they sat together on the floor, wrapped in blankets, watching the flames dance. "We did it," Anna said, leaning her head on his shoulder. "We really did it." "We did," Cole agreed, pressing a kiss to the top of her head. "And this is just the beginning. Next spring, we will start building the herd. In a few years, this will be a real working ranch." Anna thought about that future, about raising cattle and horses, about maybe having children who would grow up running through these wide open spaces. It seemed almost too good to be true, but it was real. They had built this with their own hands and their own determination. Winter in Montana was harsh, with bitter cold and deep snow that sometimes kept them inside for days at a time. But Anna found that she did not mind. The cabin was warm and cozy, and she and Cole filled the long evenings with conversation, reading, and making plans for the ranch. They grew even closer during those quiet winter months, learning to live in the intimate space of marriage, discovering each other's rhythms and habits. Cole proved to be a thoughtful and affectionate husband. He always made sure Anna had enough firewood and water. He surprised her with small gifts, like a pair of warm gloves he had bought in town, or a book he thought she would enjoy. He told her every day that he loved her, and he showed it in 100 different ways. Anna blossomed under his love and attention. She felt more confident and capable than she ever had before. She learned to shoot a rifle, to tend the horses, to make soap and candles. She kept the cabin clean and organized, and she became an excellent cook, experimenting with the limited ingredients they had and creating meals that were simple but delicious. In February, Anna realized she was pregnant. She was both thrilled and terrified, not sure if she was ready to be a mother. But when she told Cole, his face lit up with such joy that her fears melted away. "We are having a baby," he said, pulling her into his arms and spinning her around. "Anna, this is the best news. You are going to be an amazing mother." "And you are going to be an amazing father," Anna said, laughing and crying at the same time. They spent the rest of the winter preparing for the baby. Cole started building a cradle out of smooth pine wood, carving it with loving care. Anna sewed tiny clothes and blankets, marveling at how small they were. They talked about names and what kind of parents they wanted to be, what values they wanted to instill in their children. Spring came late to Montana, but when it finally arrived, it was glorious. The snow melted, the grass turned green, and wildflowers bloomed in brilliant patches of color. Cole bought a small herd of cattle from a neighboring rancher, and they spent their days tending the animals and improving the ranch. Anna's belly grew round and full, and she felt the baby move inside her, little flutters at first and then strong kicks that made her gasp and laugh. Cole loved to put his hand on her stomach and feel the baby move, his expression full of wonder. "Do you think it is a boy or a girl?" he asked one evening as they sat on the porch of their cabin, watching the sun set behind the mountains. "I do not know," Anna said. "Either way, we will love them." "That is true," Cole agreed. "But I hope it is a boy who looks just like you, or a girl who looks just like you. Actually, I hope all our children look like you." Anna laughed and swatted his arm playfully. "You are ridiculous." "I am in love," Cole corrected, leaning over to kiss her. In late August, Anna went into labor. Cole rode hard to fetch the midwife, a capable woman named Mrs. Callahan, who lived on a neighboring ranch. The labor was long and difficult, lasting through the night and into the next day, but Mrs. Callahan was calm and reassuring, and Cole never left Anna's side. Finally, as the sun was setting on the second day, Anna gave birth to a healthy baby boy. She was exhausted and drenched in sweat, but when Mrs. Callahan placed the tiny, squalling infant in her arms, Anna felt a rush of love so powerful it took her breath away. "Look at him, Cole," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "Look at our son." Cole was crying too, his tough cowboy exterior completely melted away. He touched the baby's tiny hand, and the infant's fingers curled around his father's finger, gripping tight. "He is perfect," Cole said, his voice choked with emotion. "You are perfect. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for giving me this." They named him James, after Cole's father, and he was the light of their lives. Anna had never known she could love someone so fiercely, so completely. She nursed him and sang to him and watched in wonder as he grew and changed every day. Cole was a devoted father, taking turns walking James when he was fussy at night, making silly faces to elicit baby smiles, already planning all the things he would teach his son as he grew. The years that followed were busy and productive. The ranch prospered as Cole's reputation as a skilled horsebreaker spread throughout the region. Ranchers came from miles around to have him train their horses, and he always delivered excellent results. Anna took care of the household and the garden, which she had expanded to provide vegetables for their table and to sell at the market in Miles City. When James was 2, Anna became pregnant again, and this time she gave birth to a daughter they named Emily after Cole's sister. Emily had her father's blue eyes and her mother's dark hair, and she was a sweet, gentle child who loved flowers and music. Cole doted on his daughter, and Anna often found them sitting together on the porch, Cole holding Emily in his lap and pointing out birds and clouds while the little girl listened with rapt attention. 2 years after Emily was born, they had another son, Daniel, who was rambunctious and energetic from the moment he took his first breath. The cabin had long since become too small for their growing family, so Cole and some of their neighbors built a proper house, 2 stories with 4 bedrooms, a big kitchen, and a parlor. There was even a study where Anna could keep books and where the children would do their lessons. Anna sometimes thought back to that terrible day in Dodge City when Thomas had sold her, when she had thought her life was over. She thought about how Cole had stepped in and changed everything, how he had given her not just freedom, but love and partnership and a family of her own. She wore her mother's locket every day, and she often told her children about their grandparents, keeping their memory alive. Thomas had never come back into her life, and Anna did not know what had become of him. Sometimes she wondered if he had managed to turn his life around, but mostly she tried not to think about him at all. She had forgiven him, not for his sake, but for her own, because she did not want to carry that anger and hurt anymore. But forgiveness did not mean reconciliation, and she was content to live her life without him in it. The ranch continued to grow and thrive. By the time James was 10, they had a substantial herd of cattle and horses, and they employed 3 ranch hands to help with the work. Cole had built a reputation as one of the best ranchers in the territory, known for his integrity and his skill. Anna was respected in the community as well, known for her kindness and her willingness to help neighbors in need. She often thought about how different her life might have been if Cole had not been in Dodge City that day, if he had not had the courage and compassion to intervene. The thought made her shudder, but it also filled her with gratitude. She made sure to tell Cole every day how much she loved him, how thankful she was for everything he had done and continued to do. Cole always brushed off her thanks, saying he was the lucky one, that she had saved him just as much as he had saved her. And in a way, Anna supposed that was true. They had both been broken when they met, both lost and grieving in their own ways. But they had healed each other, built something beautiful and strong together. On their 10th wedding anniversary, Cole surprised Anna by taking her back to the spot where they had first seen their land, the place where they had decided to build their future. It was a warm summer evening, and the mountains were bathed in golden light. "Do you remember standing here all those years ago?" Cole asked, his arm around Anna's waist. "I remember," Anna said. "I knew right away that this was where we belonged." "You were right," Cole said. "This is home, and you, Anna, you are my heart. These 10 years with you have been the best of my life. I love you more now than I did on our wedding day, and I will love you more tomorrow than I do today." Anna turned to face him, her eyes shining with tears of happiness. "I love you too, Cole. You gave me everything. You gave me my life back, and then you gave me a life beyond anything I could have imagined. I am so grateful for you." They kissed as the sun set behind the mountains, two people who had found each other against all odds and built something lasting and true. The years continued to pass, bringing both joys and challenges. There were hard winters that took a toll on the herd, and a summer drought that tested their resilience. Emily came down with scarlet fever when she was 7, and Anna and Cole took turns sitting by her bedside for 3 terrifying days until the fever broke. Daniel broke his arm falling out of a tree, and James got kicked by a horse and had to spend 2 weeks recovering. But there were far more good times than bad. There were Christmas mornings with the house full of laughter and the smell of cinnamon and pine. There were summer picnics by the river, with the children splashing in the water, while Anna and Cole watched from the shade. There were quiet evenings on the porch after the children had gone to bed, with Anna's head resting on Cole's shoulder and the stars bright overhead. James grew into a capable young man who loved ranching as much as his father did. Emily became a talented artist, filling the house with her drawings and paintings. Daniel was the adventurous one, always exploring and getting into mischief, but with a good heart that made it impossible to stay mad at him for long. When Anna was 38, she gave birth to their 4th and final child, a daughter they named Caroline after the teacher who had given Anna her first job. Caroline was a happy, laughing baby who grew into a curious and intelligent child. With the arrival of Caroline, their family felt complete. Cole never did make it any farther north than their ranch in Montana, and he never seemed to mind. He had found what he was looking for: a home, a purpose, and a family to love. He and Anna worked side by side for decades, building their ranch into one of the most successful in the territory. As Montana transitioned from a territory to a state in 1889, Cole and Anna celebrated with their children and their community, proud to be part of something historic. They had put down roots deep into the Montana soil, and this land was as much a part of them as they were a part of it. Over the years, they faced the inevitable losses that come with life. Mrs. Henderson passed away when Anna was 35, and Anna traveled back to Dodge City for the funeral, taking the children to show them where their parents' story had begun. Caroline Preston married and moved to Denver, but she and Anna kept up a faithful correspondence for the rest of their lives. Some of their neighbors moved away or passed on, but new families arrived to take their place, and the community around Miles City continued to grow and evolve. Through it all, Cole and Anna's love remained constant, a steady flame that never dimmed. When Anna was 45, she received a letter from a lawyer in St. Louis. Thomas had passed away, the letter said, and he had left his few possessions to his sister. Among them was a letter he had written to Anna years ago, but had never had the courage to send. Anna read the letter with tears in her eyes. In it, Thomas apologized again for what he had done, and he told her that he had managed to stop gambling and drinking, that he had found work as a carpenter, and had lived a quiet, sober life for the past 20 years. He had never married or had children, and he had spent his life trying to atone for his sins. "I see now that I asked for your forgiveness when I had no right to it," Thomas had written. "I understand if you hate me. I hate myself for what I did, but I want you to know that I am proud of you, Anna. The lawyer has been keeping me informed of your life, and I know you have built something beautiful. You are strong and brave, and you deserve so much better than what I gave you. I hope you are happy. I hope you found someone who loves you the way you deserve to be loved. That is all I have ever wanted for you since the day I betrayed you." Anna showed the letter to Cole that evening, and they talked about it for a long time. She felt sad for Thomas, for the wasted years and the isolation he had chosen. But she also felt a sense of peace. He had tried to change, and that mattered. It did not erase what he had done, but it meant something. "Do you wish you had reconciled with him?" Cole asked gently. Anna thought about it. No, she finally said. I needed to move forward, and having him in my life would have kept me tied to the past. But I am glad he found some peace. I hope he knew that I did forgive him, in my own way and in my own time. Cole pulled her close, and they sat together in the quiet comfort of their home, surrounded by the life they had built. As Anna and Cole grew older, they began to slow down. Cole's hair turned silver, and his hands, roughened by decades of hard work, developed arthritis that made some tasks difficult. Anna's dark hair streaked with gray, and she moved a bit more carefully than she once had. But they were still strong, still active, still deeply in love. James took over more and more of the ranch operations, proving himself to be a skilled and responsible manager. He married a sweet girl named Sarah from a neighboring ranch, and they gave Anna and Cole their first grandchildren, twin boys who were the spitting image of their grandfather. Emily married a doctor and moved to Billings, where she opened a small art studio and taught painting to children. Daniel joined the Territorial Rangers and spent his time protecting the wilderness he loved so much. Caroline, the youngest, showed an aptitude for teaching and became an assistant at the school in Miles City, following in the footsteps of her namesake. Anna and Cole were blessed to see all their children grown and settled, pursuing their own dreams while staying connected to the family. The ranch house that had once been filled with the noise of young children was now often filled with the laughter of grandchildren, and Anna thought there was no sweeter sound. On a warm summer evening, when Anna was 62 and Cole was 69, they sat together on the porch as they had done countless times before. The mountains were purple in the fading light, and the air smelled of hay and wildflowers. James and his family were in the house, getting the children ready for bed, and the sounds of domestic life drifted out through the open windows. "Do you ever think about that day in Dodge City?" Cole asked, taking Anna's hand in his. "Sometimes," Anna admitted. "It seems like a lifetime ago, like it happened to different people." "In some ways, it did," Cole said. "We were different people then, broken and lost." "And now?" Anna asked, though she knew the answer. "Now we are whole," Cole said simply. "You made me whole, Anna. You gave my life meaning again." "You saved my life," Anna said. "And then you gave me a life worth living. I could never repay you for that, Cole. Never." Cole brought her hand to his lips and kissed it gently. "You repay me every day just by being you, by loving me, by building this life with me. I am the luckiest man who ever lived." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars come out one by one. Anna thought about the journey they had taken together, from that dusty street in Dodge City to this porch in Montana. It had not always been easy, but it had always been worth it. She had found her home, her purpose, and the love of her life, all because a cowboy with a kind heart had been in the right place at the right time and had chosen to do the right thing. "I love you, Cole Hayes," Anna said, squeezing his hand. "I love you, Anna Hayes," Cole replied. "Today, tomorrow, and forever." The years continued to be kind to them. They grew older together, their love deepening with each passing season. They celebrated 50 years of marriage surrounded by their children, grandchildren, and even a few great-grandchildren. The ranch that they had built from nothing was now a thriving legacy that would continue for generations. When Cole was 76, his health began to fail. It started with a cough that would not go away, and the doctor diagnosed him with a lung condition that had no cure. Cole accepted the news with his characteristic quiet courage, more concerned about Anna than about himself. "I am not afraid of dying," he told her one night as they lay in bed together. "I have had a good life, a full life. My only regret is that I have to leave you." "Do not talk like that," Anna said, though tears streamed down her face. "You are not going anywhere yet." But they both knew the truth. Cole's condition worsened over the next few months, and by the spring, he was confined to bed. Anna rarely left his side, caring for him with the same devotion he had always shown her. Their children came to visit as often as they could, and the house was filled with family during those final weeks. On a beautiful May morning, with the windows open and the scent of lilacs drifting in, Cole passed away peacefully with Anna holding his hand. His last words were, "I love you," and Anna whispered the same words back to him through her tears. The funeral was attended by hundreds of people, a testament to the life Cole had lived and the impact he had made on his community. Anna stood at the graveside, surrounded by her children and grandchildren, and she felt both deep sorrow and deep gratitude. She had been blessed to have Cole for 52 years, and while she would miss him every day for the rest of her life, she knew that what they had built together would endure. Anna lived for another 12 years after Cole's death. She remained active and involved in the ranch, though James handled the day-to-day operations. She spent her time with her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, telling them stories about their grandfather and about the old days in Montana. She wore her mother's locket every day, and she kept Cole's hat on a hook by the door, unable to put it away. She never remarried. When people asked her about it, she would smile and say that she had already had the great love of her life, and nothing could compare to what she and Cole had shared. On a crisp autumn day when Anna was 86, she passed away peacefully in her sleep. She was buried next to Cole on a hill overlooking the ranch, where they could watch over the land they had loved for eternity. At her funeral, James spoke about his mother's courage and strength, about how she had overcome betrayal and hardship to build something beautiful. Emily read from her mother's favorite poems. Daniel and Caroline shared memories that made people laugh and cry in equal measure. But perhaps the most fitting tribute came from one of Anna's great-granddaughters, a girl of about 10, who stood up and said, "Great-Grandma Anna always told us that love is the most important thing. Love and courage. She said that if you have those two things, you can survive anything and build a life worth living." I think she and Great-Grandpa Cole proved that every single day. The ranch that Anna and Cole had built from nothing continued to thrive for generations. Their descendants remained in Montana, ranchers and teachers and doctors and artists, all carrying forward the values that Anna and Cole had instilled in them: hard work, integrity, compassion, and above all, love. The story of how Cole Hayes bought Anna Whitmore's freedom for a bag of silver coins, and how they fell in love and built a life together, became a family legend, passed down from generation to generation. It was a story about darkness and light, about betrayal and redemption, about how one act of courage and compassion can change the course of a life. Anna and Cole's grave on the hill overlooking the ranch became a place of pilgrimage for their descendants. Young couples about to be married would visit, asking for the blessing of the ancestors who had shown them what true love looked like. Children would run through the wildflowers that grew there, not understanding yet the significance of the place, but sensing somehow that it was special. And on summer evenings, when the sun set behind the mountains and painted the sky in shades of gold and crimson, it was easy to imagine two figures standing there hand in hand, watching over the land and the family they had created together. Anna and Cole's love story had begun in heartbreak and fear, but it had transformed into something beautiful and enduring, a testament to the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds and to create something lasting from the ashes of despair. Their legacy was not just the ranch or the descendants who carried their blood. Their legacy was the proof that love, real love, could conquer anything, that a broken heart could be mended by the right person with patience and care. That freedom meant nothing without someone to share it with, and that family was not always about blood, but about the people who chose to stand by you when the world turned dark. Anna had been sold for 30 pieces of silver, betrayed by the brother who should have protected her. But Cole had bought her freedom, and, in doing so, had given her something far more valuable. He had given her love, partnership, and a future full of hope. Together, they had built a life that was rich in all the ways that mattered, and their story would live on long after they were gone, inspiring generations to come to believe in the transformative power of love and courage. The wild Montana wind still whispered through the cottonwood trees on the ranch, carrying with it the echoes of laughter and love that had filled that land for decades. The Yellowstone River still flowed clear and cold, just as it had when Anna and Cole first laid eyes on their future home. And somewhere, in the great mystery beyond this life, Anna and Cole were together again, their hands clasped, their hearts finally and forever at peace. Their love story had ended not with death, but with fulfillment, with the knowledge that they had lived fully and loved completely, and that was the happiest ending of all.